Breaking news. Tensions boil over. U.S. strikes in Pacific spark crisis in US-Colombian relations. If you're not familiar with my channel, I report the news for Central and South America with a special attention on Medellin, Colombia, and Colombia as a whole. I do these videos for those that want to know before they go, as well as for expats who live there and want to hear the news in English. Quick heads up, Americans in Colombia applying for a visa now need an FBI background check. Get yours in coin-port 48 hours using OnCall Colombia. OnCallColombia.com, the information is on the screen as well as in the description of all my videos. Now, I have this one story. This is going to be the latest update for the US-Colombia relations. Also, I'm going to let the defense minister speak to you from Venezuela. But let's just jump into this first story right away. Dateline, Washington, D.C., Bogota, Colombia. On Tuesday, October 22nd, a U.S. warplane obliterated a speedboat in international waters off Colombia's Pacific coast, killing 2 men, including Alejandro Carranza, a 40-year-old fisherman from Buenaventura. His widow, Katerine Hernandez, tearfully told reporters he was fishing, not trafficking. Why did they kill him? Colombian authorities confirmed Carranza's identity, contradicting Pentagon claims that the vessel carried narco-terrorists. The strike, one of 9 since early October that killed 37 people, has plunged U.S.-Colombian relations into their deepest crisis in decades, threatening military and trade ties worth billions. The attack, part of President Donald Trump's aggressive anti-cartel campaign, followed his September decertification of Colombia as a reliable anti-drug partner, citing a 20% surge in coca production since 2022 under President Gustavo Petro's policies. Trump has deployed 10,000 troops, warships, drones, and F-35s across the Caribbean, targeting cocaine flows that supply 97% of U.S. consumption. On October 23rd, a second strike hit a narco sub near Colombia's shore, killing 3, as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth vowed to intensify operations. Petro, Colombia's first leftist leader, fired back, calling the strikes extrajudicial executions that violate international law. On X, he wrote, "I stand against murders by those in power in the Caribbean," and vowed to sue U.S. officials in American courts for slander after Trump labeled him a drug trafficking leader. Bogota lodged a formal protest demanding the U.S. halt attacks and respect sovereignty. Trump escalated, suspending all $400 million in annual U.S. aid to Colombia and threatening 10% tariffs on $55 billion in trade, including oil and coffee. Petro dismissed the aid cuts' impact, noting much of it stays within the United States agencies, but warned that military dependence could weaken without it. He highlighted Colombia's destruction of 17,000 cocaine labs, insisting on sovereignty. "We'll work with states that respect us." But now Petro is reportedly considering expelling 250 U.S. troops and 400 contractors from Colombian bases, a move that could unravel decades of joint operations against cartels and FARC dissidents. Diplomatic efforts flickered amid the storm. On October 23rd, Petro met the U.S. Charge d'Affaires in Bogota, reaffirming anti-drug cooperation. But Colombia recalled Ambassador Daniel García-Peña after Trump's unacceptable insults. "This threatens a 200-year alliance," García-Peña told AFP. Trump's team showed no retreat, with Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt stating, "We're not seeing de-escalation from Colombia's unhinged leader." Fishermen in Buenaventura now fear U.S. drones, and naval patrols report strained intelligence sharing. Analysts like Elizabeth Dickinson of the International Crisis Group warned that aid cuts could cripple Colombia's military, empowering cartels. On X, debates rage, with some backing Trump's toughness and others decrying Yankee imperialism. As Petro mulls trade countermeasures and Trump eyes Venezuela, the Caribbean simmers with a fractured alliance hanging in the balance. Now, there you go. This is the latest. Again, this is U.S. and Colombia relations, but I also wanted you to hear from the Venezuelan defense minister because he's got some comments and basically he's standing with Petro. So this whole area is a powder keg. What's going to happen next? I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I'm going to say right now that the possibility of going to war with Venezuela is probably 75% going, 25% not. And when I say going again, I mentioned it before, my guess is there will be no troops on the ground. They'll be dropping bombs. $100,000 bombs, $100,000 bombs. Just shoot these things like it's candy. Meanwhile, we don't have health care. I digress. But also, I would say with Colombia, there's a possibility. Right now, I'm looking at 49-51 that we are. But if Petro does expel these U.S. troops and these U.S. dignitaries, that's going to be a problem. And then Trump will tick back. You know, you can't just say anything to him without him going all out. So then he'll come out to Petro, which will increase it from 49-51 to 55-45 at that point. But we'll see. But listen to what the Venezuelan defense minister has to say.
Colombia must know that it can count on the Bolivarian National Armed Forces. The people of Colombia must know that they can count on the moral and physical support on this side, and on the deployment in our territory to confront all threats that loom over the border. Now we have seen how U.S. imperialism, from one day to the next, has labeled the President of the Republic of Colombia as a drug trafficker. It offends him, and with the offense against him, it offends the people of Colombia. It offends the military forces of Colombia. It offends the military forces of Colombia simply because he has told the truth. So, whoever does not say this and kneels and says yes, bows his head before U.S. imperialism, and runs the risk of being labeled a drug trafficker. That is the strategy. Well, it is crude. Crude. A truly bizarre strategy, a senseless strategy, a vulgar strategy that offends the intelligence of the peoples of Latin America and the Caribbean. It offends them. It offends them. The Bolivarian National Armed Forces continue to be deployed throughout the country, beyond the Independence 200 exercises that we did by state, which was a very wise decision on the part of our Commander-in-Chief to do it by state and concentrate our efforts. A major criticism has been made worldwide, and not only in Latin America and the Caribbean, but also within society and the political world of the United States. The United States. The concept that they have referred to as peace through the Bolivarian military force, specifically the military academy, for example. North American imperialism imposes a military threat on the people of Venezuela. The Bolivarian National Armed Forces, with their daily dynamism, will continue to transform within the framework of the Ayacucho Transformation Plan. The Ayacucho Plan is in full development, in reorganization, in doctrine, in equipment, in education, in intelligence, in counterintelligence.
There you go. When you do these conversions, these translations, sometimes, I didn't do this one, but sometimes there's a lull in the speech, so it's not as quick and repetitive. The speaking is not, doesn't roll out. But anyway, I wanted you to hear from him. So they all remember this was all Gran Colombia years ago. And just like Petro said the other day, he said if something happens to Venezuelan, that's the same as something happened to a Colombian. They both have the same blood. I don't think many people recognize that because we're coming along after the fact. But that used to be Gran Colombia, a few countries together. So it wasn't just Colombia and then Venezuela and Brazil. These things were together. But anyway, and so it is the same blood between all of them before they divided it. You go back far now. Anyway, you're up to date with the latest news, this time out of Colombia and a little bit from Venezuela, but the area is hot. The block is hot. The block is hot. Buy gold and silver. Remember that. Anyway, you're up to date with the latest news, this time again, U.S.-Colombia relations, U.S.-Venezuela relations. Remember to travel, but travel safe.
Make sure you get your smile right. Make sure you see my dentist, Dr. Carlos Mari. Good location, right on 43rd. Good price, and of course, the best service you're gonna get.
So hey girl, thanks for coming by my place.
No worries. You mind if our girlfriend can come by with us?
Hell no. This is why I watch DC Raw.